Welcome back to Kingdom Talk Channel. All right, this is session 9, 2022. I'm Reverend Shirley Young, and we are still in the book of Revelation. Last time we left off, we were in the midst of the tribulation, and it's still going on. They had fire and blood and ice raining down from heaven on earth. A third of the ocean has been turned to blood. A third of the trees have burnt up. A third of the ships, merchant ships are gone. Something fell from the heaven called wormwood poison. A third of the drinking water, people dying from bad water. And a third of the moon stars, the moon, the sun, and the stars have been blacking out, so we're missing part of the daytime, and yet still people have not repented. They are still on the earth, refusing to accept that God is who he says he is. All right, we have this little critter on our screen. I put him on there because he's the strange little critter. He exists on earth today. He's called a horsehead grasshopper. Has a little snout like a horse and everything. His eyes on the side like a horse. Just interesting looking. So I figured I'd show you something strange. So we're about to see some strange things in this chapter today. All right, John is, the Apostle John is the one who's speaking. Remember, he had got caught up to heaven and that he's viewing what's going on back down on the earth. There's 7 trumpets sound. We on number 5, the 5th trumpet, chapter 9, verse 1 through 3. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. He opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke from the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them were given power as serpents of the earth have power. Wow. So the trumpet sounds, the star falls, and this star is a being, not a regular star, because we hear him. We see here he's been called a him. He opens up this bottom pit. The sun is dark, and they already missing a third of the day as it is, and now the smoke comes out. So much smoke comes out, it's making everything dark and smoky. And locusts come out. I mean, a lot of locusts, and they have powers like a scorpion. Revelation 9, 4 through 12. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither the trees or anything, but only those men which had not the seal of God in their forehead. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should torment them for 5 months. And their torment was the torment of a scorpion when he strikes a man. And in those days, verse 6, a man shall seek death and shall not find it, to desire to die, but death shall flee from them. Verse 7, and the shape of the locusts were like unto horses prepared to battle. And on their heads were as it were crowns of gold, their faces were like the face of men or people. Verse 8, and they had hair, verse 8, as a woman, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And their breastplate were a breastplate of iron, and the sounds of their wing was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Verse 10. And they had tails like scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men for 5 months. Verse 11, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name was in the Hebrew tongue Abaddon, and in the Greek tongue had his name Apollyon, which means destroyer. One woe has passed, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. Wow. So these locusts come out of this pit that Satan is controlling here, because it says that he's the destroyer. And we know that's a reference to the devil. And they're told they cannot hurt any green things, trees, or crops. Now, this is what locusts normally do. They come out, they eat the trees, they eat the crops, they eat the grass, anything green, they just wipe it out in their path. But they're told they can't do it. They only can strike men, but not the 144,000 of the tribe of Israel that have been marked. All right, we saw that in chapter 7 when they were marked. And it says it can't hurt them, but they are tormenting men for 5 whole months. And it tells us that these locusts, they got this little cartoon picture, people. I'm sure, no doubt, they're not going to look like a cartoon. They are grasshoppers that are pretty vicious here. They stinging people with their tails. And it says his head was like a crown of gold. I guess they had a shiny head. Their faces, it kind of reminded them of a man. And I'm assuming maybe their eyes are not in the normal place. Normally their eyes are on the side, but maybe their eyes are in front like a person. Who knows? John just said it reminded him of the face of a man. And he said they had hair like a woman. I doubt if it was a full set of hair. Could be, could just be strands, and it was long strands hanging from their head. He doesn't say how full, just hair. And they had teeth like lions. So now locusts do have sharp teeth. That's why they usually tear everything they pass. They have like, look like teeth in their mouth, like molars kind of. But he says they have some like kind of fang teeth like a lion. All right, now they don't bite anybody, doesn't say, it just says they stinging. And they had breastplates as iron. So the chest of these things are hard, okay? So they're gonna be hard to kill. And the sound of the wing sounds like a chariot. They're running to battle, which there's so many of these things, the noise sounds like, you know, like an army of horses or something. And that has got to be annoying because one little fly buzz around your ear could be annoying, right? And these things, oh my goodness, it's just frightening, just the sound of them. And they have tails, but their tails can sting people. And this is where their power is. And they're doing this for 5 months until people just want to die. But death is not going to come. And it tells us that Satan is the one who is driving these vicious locusts. That's one will pass, and he tells us 2 more to go. Verse 9, 13 through 14. And the 6th angel sounds, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the gold altar, which are before God, saying to the 6th angel, which has the trumpet, loose the 4 angels, which are bound in the great river Euphrates. You see that here on our map. The Euphrates River running through Iraq here, right? We also heard that from Genesis. It's going to talk about the Garden of Eden, Euphrates is mentioned. All right, so here's the river, and this is the east side of the river. Revelation 9, 15 through 17. And the 4th angel, and the 4 angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year to slay 1/3 of men. Okay, again, I told you men are just people. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And this number is basically 200 million. Verse 17, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and jensen and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. All right, so I'm pretty sure this is some type of weapon, because the locusts so when they came out of the pit, John said he had identified them as locusts. They were strange looking to us, but they were locusts. Here, he says this is a number of an army of horsemen. All right, he says there's 200 million of them, and they're released after the 6th angel has sounded. So I saw this picture of a tank from Italy, and it was called the Little Leopard, and they changed it to the Lion. So what else puts out fire and brimstone like this? And it reminded me of a tank. That's what I think it is, some type of tank. It's just interesting that I found one named the Lion. And John describes this as the head of a lion. And he says, out of their mouth comes fire and brimstone. So they have been loose, and they have a year, a month, and 25 hours, and they're gonna kill 1/3 of mankind. Wow, that's on the earth this time. And he says he saw the horses, and then the saddle. He said that the outfit was like a breastplate of fire and blue and brimstone. So fire usually we depict it as kind of orange or reddish color, and it says and brimstone, which is yellow. And the heads of the horses, he said, the heads of lions. We don't have any horses that have lion heads, okay? So I'm thinking that's why I think it's got to be some type of weapon. He says, but out of the mouth of this thing is issuing out fire, smoke, and brimstone. And that's exactly what tanks issue out. Revelation 9:18 through 19. By these was a third of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouth. And their power, verse 19, in their mouth and in their tails, well, their tails were like a serpent, and they had a head, and with them they do hurt. So it says, whatever this thing is, this weapon, if it's a weapon, it can hurt from the front and from the back. Out of the front is issuing fire and smoke and brimstone. Out of the back, he said, the back is like a tail of a serpent. So it's biting too, it's stinging too, but not as much as it seems like the front of this thing is. But it's whatever it is, it takes out a third of mankind at this particular time. Sounds like some type of weapon to me. Tank, could be. Revelation 9:20 and 21. Still talking about the sixth angel. And the rest of the men which were not killed by the plagues, yet repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, neither which neither can see nor hear or walk, neither repented of their murders, of their sorceries, of their fornications, or of their thefts. So he says, with all of this going on, everything we've seen so far, they're still at it. They're still worshiping devils and gold and brass and idolatry. All right, so look over here, we see the word fornication. And fornication could be whoredom, adultery, incest. It could also be idolatry. Idolatry basically means that they're got a fake God and they cheat on the real God. All right, so we know they're doing that. It tells us clearly they're doing that there. All right, he says, and there's murders, they're not stopping their murders, and there's, they're doing it, fighting one another, killing one another. This is going on. And then he says, thefts. He used the word thefts and sorcery. So sorcery is an interesting word here. It actually the word pharmakeia, which is where we get our word pharmacy. Magic, sorcery, and witchcraft. Wow. So he says that they're doing something with medication and they won't stop it. So the question is, are the products on the market, are they to help people or are they just to make money? We have to be careful when God gives us a gift and a talent that we use our gifts and talent to help people, not to harm people. Medications are fine, but they should be helpful and not harmful. And we don't sell things just to make money and push them just to make money, because you will be held accountable when you harm people. And then he says they didn't repent of their thefts. What thefts? Somebody might think, oh, just somebody robbing somebody. That could be it too. But thefts are also described in the Bible is when you cheat people out of wages that they deserve. Something to think about. All right, we don't think about that, but God considers that's thievery when you don't pay people fair wages. You weigh in and it's not a good thing. All right, so we're going to leave that there. I want to say God bless you, brothers and sisters, kings and priests of God. I will see you right here next time on Kingdom Talk Channel. Something to think about. Don't forget to tell your friends and invite them to join us as we go through the book of Revelation.